After solving the D.B. Cooper case on 6/13/13, many people had commented on my videos that the Zodiac handwriting was very similar. Now at first I was very skeptical and I wouldn't even look at it. But when another viewer showed me that the same symbol was on the Paul Avery's card as in the Reno letter that D.B. Cooper wrote shortly after the hijacking, at that point I had to take a look, trying to dismiss it. But unfortunately, I couldn't. Now here's one of the Riverside letters, and as you can see, the K is hidden under the R, just like the Reno letter. There it is, K-E-N. But when you look at the handwriting, you realize the only lowercase letter in this is the I. And there's no address on this envelope, which is similar to some of the D.B. Cooper letters and some of the Zodiac. He wouldn't write an address. He would just simply write the newspaper's name and it would just get there. But now when we look at Kenneth's handwriting from Bonnie Lake, Washington, you'll notice the only lowercase letter is the letter I. Now the P.O. Box, that's one of the most interesting clues. Now that's P.O. Box 7331 from Sumner, Washington. Now what's interesting about the P.O. Box was Kenneth didn't have a mailing address because he was living in an apartment. So when you look at one of the D.B. Cooper letters that was cut out of the Playboy magazines, you can clearly see it says Hometown P.O. Now most people thought that was for Portland, Oregon, but that's really for P.O. Box. Now remember, this is a D.B. Cooper letter. The Zodiac sent a letter in 1990, which was overlooked by many of the experts for a long time. They always questioned why this letter in 1990 sent to the San Francisco Chronicles would have a picture in it. What would that picture be? 2 post office box keys. Now those post office box keys, I mean the odds of those not matching 7331 Sumner, Washington would be almost ridiculous. And there's an object on the chain and many people wonder what it was. It's a magnet for testing for gold and silver, which Kenneth Christensen was known. He was known to order gold and silver coins and ship to that post office box. So for the D.B. Cooper letter to have P.O. in it, the P.O. Box keys, and then the P.O. Box number in his own handwriting, it's just undeniable at that point. And that definitely was the clue he left behind in the D.B. Cooper letter, but remember, the other one was a Zodiac. And we're going to go through the evidence which I certified to the F.B.I., and there's the letter right there. And you can pause it and read it, or go through it real slow. But there's where they signed for it. We're going to go through some of the evidence, and it's going to go pretty fast. Now here's an Oregonian letter. Here's a San Francisco Chronicle one. Now when I saw this, I assumed that this was an actual D.B. Cooper letter that I had never seen before. But as you can see, the K is hidden under the R and the E. Now, most of the Zodiac handwriting, or letters, if you take the Z out of Zodiac and turn it sideways, that's the N. So it's really K, E, and then the N for Zodiac. But when you go to the D.B. Cooper letter, notice there's no address. It's just the paper's name. And there's the word Ken with the K hidden under the R. And there's the Z from the Zodiac right there. Almost all of them are. And notice that that is the symbol from the Paul Avery's card. So we go to Los Angeles Times, same thing. The K is hidden under the R. There's the E. And there is the Z for Zodiac turned sideways. So every letter he sent, at least most of them except for some of the ones at the beginning, that was the hidden clue. K-E-N. The same as it was for the D.B. Cooper letter. Now that you've seen that, I'll show you one symbol that had stumped investigators for a long time. But once I show it to you, and now you know the code is K-E-N, how long does it take you to figure that one out? That goes inside the K, that goes on top of the N, and if you look at the E, it's just the bottom of it turned on top. And that other single line, that makes the other part of the N. So this was similar to an Asian Oriental symbol, and Kenneth flew for Northwest Orient. So he was over there looking at it all the time, playing little games, but it's not a symbol for barrel, it's Ken as well. Now, many people had looked at this, and they thought, well, this is a map. You know, if we find these streets, we'll know exactly where he lives. Well, unfortunately, what it is, it's the same symbol that appears on the Paul Avery's card. Now, most people would separate the Z for Zodiac and focus on that. Well, now that you know that's the N, you can clearly see that and that make an E, that's the N, and the dot's lowered down with that V. Turn sideways, makes a K. Same symbol, but remember, people would separate it from the Z. Once you realize it isn't, and those were made with dots, not even straight lines, and he even said connect the dots. You can see that's the top of the E, that's the bottom of the E, that's the N turned sideways, and put those little dots together and that'll make it a K. So actually it's Zodiac Ken. And another thing, when you look at the Paul Avery's card, you'll notice the BYs go left to right. On this one, they go down. There's the backwards N, it's if by Ken. I feel it in my bones, you're aching to know my name. It's really in my bones, my name. That's the OK symbol. The backwards N represents the bones in his arm, and he drew the E inside of the foot. If you get a colored copy, you'll even notice there's a red jet in the eye, and that stands for Northwest Airlines as well. So now that you look at this, you realize, well, it's not really a map at all. It's the Zodiac symbol, and there's he's showing you with that line to quit removing the Z. Once again, there's the top of the E, there's the bottom of the E, there's the N turned sideways, and there's the two lines you can put across the back to make it a K. We'll go through these pretty fast, but it's almost impossible to say that it's not Kenneth Christensen now. And like I stated before, when I saw the original San Francisco Chronicle letter, I thought this was a D.B. Cooper letter, due to the fact the handwriting absolutely matches perfect to this one. Now notice all those O's are square, but they're not identical, but they're the same and similar. When you're comparing handwriting, you're not looking for identicalness, you're looking for the pattern, the same and the similarity. When you look at that C, you look at the C in Chronicle, you see that the K is hidden under the R, the E is Ken's E, and the Z is his Z turned sideways. But here is a color version of that. But it's definitely in my bones, my name. O, K, E, and then the backwards N, which he indicated over here. And it's if by Ken. And there's the red jet in the skeleton's eye, and it's going to be hard to see, so you're going to have to get a copy for yourself. But now we're going to look at the drawing of D.B. Cooper. And now let's look at the drawing of the Zodiac. I've actually shown that picture and people believe that is the Zodiac. That was D.B. Cooper, but it's not. Notice how they updated it with the lips, the droopy eye, one eyebrow thicker than the other. When we take the last known photo of Kenneth Christensen and put it on top of it, it's like you're looking at a ghost. But here's a better one. There's Kenneth with his droopy eye, one eyebrow thicker than the other, the abnormal lips that don't form to the corner of his mouth, and if you look close enough, you can see the toupee line. There he is with his toupee and glasses. We added that to him. And there's the last known photo of him on top of it. But I have so much more evidence that I'm going to show you later on, but we're going to cut this video short. But then, one other thing. He left the message, my name is... my name is. Well, when I got Robert Graysmith's book and I looked at it, and they had come so close, they had my name Kane. When I looked at it, it didn't take me more than 5 seconds. I did this actually in the bookstore before I even purchased it. It's my name Ken. It physically can't be that it would be in all of these letters so many times. It doesn't say Frank or Jeff or Steve or Paul or Sean. It says my name Ken. All the K's are hidden under the R's. And the E in editor and the Z in Zodiac turn sideways.